Hello dear my friends! I hope you all had a happy new year. I want to start this year by doing something that I always wanted to do, but never really saw any point on doing it. Which is seeing all the anime that aired in the last year, and just remembering the ones that I did watch, seeing if maybe I missed something, and with this channel, I guess that's the perfect excuse to do it. So let's start by seeing what was happening 1 year ago.
A winter's day.
I would say that the year started off pretty strong, with the second season of Kusuriya no Hitorigoto being even better than the first one. We also had the first part of the last season of Dr. Stone, and even though I will say I missed the start of the series with the almost magical explanation of science, I can't say I dislike how it's going right now. The characters are just so interesting, and the plot is progressing in such a way that really makes you invested in it. Which is something that unfortunately I can't say the same for Solo Leveling. The first season wasn't really my cup of tea, but maybe I will give it a second chance in the future, seeing how popular it is right now, but I think I will let it rest for a little while. There was also a new season for Toilet Bound Hanako-kun after like 4 or 5 years. Now, I'm not sure how good the anime actually is, but the manga is great, so I hope it does a good job. What I can say is that at least they captured the weird yet cutesy art style of Yaiba sensei. But that's enough of the new seasons. Let's talk a little bit more of the new toys we have right now. And we had some pretty big names here as well, like the acclaimed Sakamoto Days, that had some pretty divisive reception to say the least. But as someone who did not read the manga, I can say that the anime was alright for me. I had a good time with it, although I wished it focused a little bit more on the comedy and not on the fights, since I thought the anime was very funny, and the fights were the lackluster part, especially in the animation of the first season. Later, when it comes back in the summer, I think it was better. But for the winter one, it was a bit of a letdown. We also had Ameku Takao, or Dr. House, the anime, as it's been called by pretty much everyone. Yeah, and I'm sure people will remember remember that time House became a cute anime girl, more than the actual show. But hey, looking at the bright side, this will always bring newcomers to the series. That's how I discovered it. I haven't yet watched it, unfortunately, but I do plan on it because I love House. But that's enough shonen and magical dramas for now. Let's talk about some juicy romance. How about it? Well, I guess Kusuriya is a romance, despite what Hyuga Natsu-sensei wants. And the biggest romance, I think it was probably 100 Girlfriends, which I don't know if I can call it a romance. I completely skipped it because it's not on my interest. But maybe I'm missing out on something here. I don't know. Anyway, they weren't the only romance in the season. We also had things like Kono kaisha ni suki na hito wa imasu, also airing. And by the looks of it, it seems to be a pretty normal romance story. Also with an adult cast, which is pretty nice in my opinion. Went completely off my radar, gotta say. And it does give me some Wotakoi or annoying senpai vibes, which makes me wanna watch it even more. Since we still have 3 other seasons to talk about, I will do a lightning round just to finish off the winter season, okay? So, Zenshuu had the usual mappa style, so if you are a visual fan more than anything, it's a must watch. Medalist I remember being pretty big here in Japan. Okitsura is an Okinawa tour sprinkled with a little bit of romance, so if you wanna know more about the land of Okinawa, it's a very good anime to go and watch. And if you want a little bit more of Japanese culture, Nihon e Youkoso Elf-san brings the isekai to our sekai. And with that, I think it's time for us to end the winter season and welcome in...
Here comes the sun.
to the spring season, which was overall pretty solid, with new seasons for Fire Force, that even if a little divisive as a series in general, it seems to have a pretty dedicated fanbase, which I can only assume it's because of the love Atsushi Okubo puts in his series. Kuroshitsuji keeps on getting new seasons as well, this time adapting one of my favorite arcs, the Green Witch. And even though in my opinion they used CG a little too much in this new season, the overall adaptation and storytelling were pretty solid. Speaking of witches, another series that I have been reading before watching the anime has gained an anime adaptation this season, which is Witch Watch. And even if some jokes didn't translate very well from the manga to the anime, and some other changes that the anime did were a little bit weird, the series overall did an incredible job. And in some other arcs that they did change the order as well, are very much appreciated, like giving Keigo more screen time before the Dogs and Candy arc. So I was very happy as a fan of the manga. Unfortunately, can't say the same thing for Beginning Ater the End. You see, my wife really likes the original series, and let's just say she did not let me watch the second episode. But anyway, let's change the mood from upset to frustrated, because there's one thing that has been bugging me for a while now. You see, I don't understand why Summer Pockets and Kowloon Generic Romance didn't air in the summer. Couldn't they have waited just a little bit more? They could say they had to fix the pacing or the animations or something, but I digress. I do not want to take away the series' merits. They were made from already famous creators after all. Pocket Summers is an adaptation of a visual novel developed by Key, which brought us series like Clannad, Angel Beats, Charlotte, which were watched and beloved by many. While Kowloon is written by Jun Mayuzuki, who also wrote Koi wa Ameagari no Youuni, which is also a very weird style of romance. Both are definitely not for everyone, but neither are bad in my opinion. I will say though that the anime for Kowloon feels way too rushed, which does leave a bad taste in my mouth. Let me watch and enjoy the drama instead of just resolving it in the same episode, you know? Yaiba had a new anime, and hey, remakes are always welcome in this household. My Hero Academia had a spin-off with Vigilantes, which helps the world feel bigger and more alive. Takopi no Genzai, in just 6 episodes, created a thrilling story that captured the hearts of many who watched it. And even though I would really like to recommend it, it is important to keep in mind that the show deals with some pretty heavy topics. And last but not least for this season, on the other side of the shonen spectrum, I wanna talk about Aharen-san. You see, Aharen-san got its second season this spring, and that's just something I was not expecting at all. Yet, here we are, and I am completely speechless and thankful for that. It's just such a funny series, the very dumb kind of humor I am very fond of. And the series ended there in such a spectacular way also. But with that said, let's say our goodbyes to the spring season and spring into...
In the summertime when the weather is hot.
The sun may be shining in the sky, but it is not the brightest thing around. No. That would go to the weebs that were blessed with so many awaited new seasons. Like Dress Up Darling, that came back to melt the heart of every romance fan, while also teaching about the wonderful world of cosplay. Or maybe you would prefer a cool summer night with a beautiful vampire. Well then, Yofukashi no Uta is back to fill in that need for you. The second part of the final season of Dr. Stone went above and beyond my expectations, setting everything up for a beautiful finale. And the demon that plagues my nightmares is in its 4th season, while something actually good like Grand Blue couldn't even get a... I'm so happy right now, I don't even mind the cringe. Who could have guessed it? After so many years, my favorite diving anime is finally back. I can't wait to explore the oceans. And speaking of waiting, I can only imagine how happy the fans of Pantheon's Tolkien are as well. With a new season 15 years after the original anime aired, that's a full-on edgy teenager, which coincides with the target audience for the anime. Sakamoto Days set its second core, with some great improvements over the first season, especially on the fights. Dun is here again. After an incredible first season, doubters might have thought that the second would fall flat, But Science Saru did not disappoint. Every episode was a joy to watch. One can only hope that the next seasons will be just as good. But now, let's talk a little about the new toys, because those two were also such a delight to watch. My personal favorite has to go to Kaoru no Hana. With such a simple premise, the series worked with everything it had to deliver an incredible story from start to finish. Now, I gotta talk about the summer Hikaru died, because it caught me by surprise. Let me explain. Some minor spoilers though. Well, first, I thought it was going to be more of your feels type of anime, you know? You think about your angel beats, your Anohanas. Turns out it was an horror anime, about a demon, a possessive one. But you see, that was not my only surprise, because I also played the fool, since for at least half of the anime I thought the friendship between the main characters were just your average bromance, you know? Well, wrong again, because between those episodes I looked at my wife and said, "Hey, do you think that maybe Yoshiki liked Hikaru?" She just gave me such a blank stare, almost not believing what I just had said. But hey, at least I can say now that this is a possessive possession. Of course, it was all for naught against the actual best part of the anime, which is the stupid bird from the ending. You know, when the music goes ta 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 ta. And I love that bird. I hope it comes back. Anyways, I gotta confess something. I have a little bit of love-hate relationship with studies of fancy rocks. But that's a me problem, and I am willing to see Ruri no Hoseki to solve it. I just have to get over my prejudice, especially since it does look very interesting and informative. And who could hate an anime that actually teaches you things? So I am looking forward to watching it when I can. This one makes me a little sad, you know, because it reminds me of Nichijou. And I watched it expecting a new season of Nichijou. Well, it wasn't. But you know what? It was still such an incredible series. And I hope that some kid out there is looking at this series the same way I looked at Nichijou all those years ago. Because this series deserves it. And if you want some good, solid comedy, give City a try. Now, let's go to the lightning round. Game Center Girl and Busu no Hanabatao are your cutesy, unusual romances that can be your feel-good for the day. Gachiakuta has me hooked on Style Alone. Silent Witch leaves its quiet yet impactful mark around the community, and even though I left some names out, I think it's time to call an end for the summer season. It was definitely the most packed out of the whole year. There were a lot of enemies that I couldn't see because of time, that I'll be picking up later, but for now, let's see the leaves falling and welcome in fall.
On this forest moon.
The fall is out, and oh boy, Christmas came earlier for me this year, with the release of the incredible Ginpachi Sensei anime. That's right, Gintama came back from the dead, and I am so happy about it. But I won't get too distracted, because we still have so many great animes to talk about. For example, another one that is also coming back, Spy Family, with a third season of pure wholesomeness to feel the need for a family in our heart. Or the final season of Boku no Hero Academia, that for many was their first anime, and is also one of the reasons that anime got so mainstream nowadays. Cheer Eternity got a third season, which is also pretty swell, and One Punch Man also got a third season. That got more and more controversial with every new episode. I would like to talk about those issues, especially since I don't think it's exclusive to One Punch Man, but I don't want to bring the mood too down for this video, so I will leave it to another time. For now, let's go back to it with May I Ask for One Final Thing, which is basically the dream for every peasant such as myself, and I think we should try and be more like Scarlet, punching rich people in the face. We also had Sanda, that has one of the most creative premises of the whole season, which makes sense, since it comes from Itadaki Paru, an accomplished author. Speaking of famous authors, Twisted Wonderland is a series from Yana Tobozo, in a collaboration with Disney. Alma-chan Wants to Be a Family looks like one of the cutest anime this year, And I couldn't even talk about some of the big names that gained a new season this fall, like Uma Musume, Rama Half, and Kingdom. But I think it is time that we end the fall season. While I was working on the script, I thought that the season was lacking a little. Don't get me wrong, there are a lot of animes that you can watch and enjoy this season. And maybe I am missing some of the bigger names. But for me personally, I think it was the weakest of the year. Now that I have finally finished this little project of mine, I gotta say, last year was pretty good for anime. In all of the areas we had some pretty incredible quality. Sure, there were some that were disappointing or didn't live up to the expectations we had, but hey, that's just life. On the other hand, some that I thought would fall flat for me made me anxiously wait for the next episode week after week. Alas, we should be ending this soon. However, we can't end an overview without deciding what was the best anime of 2025. I will be ignoring new seasons though, because I don't think it's fair to compare an anime that just started with some that already has its world building set up. So with all this said and done, I will choose Kaoru Hana. Just the way the animation, the story, the characters, songs, everything in this anime was so well put together, so well crafted, it definitely stands out among all the others for me. So yeah, congratulations, you win the Madao seal. Finally, this video is coming to an end. Thank you for being here. I'm not a YouTuber or anything of the sorts, so if you are watching this, just know that I really appreciate you hearing me rambling for some minutes. I guess just to make things a little bit more YouTuber-like, I gotta say the thing that everybody says, right? Don't forget to like the subscribe button,